Hello and welcome back to my live stream. We are finishing the chapters that are available on Andromeda 6. We will lock in our romance with Ayame, or Aya as she prefers to be called. And then next week I will play the 2 DLC that they've released. Um, and, and then after that, I don't know. We'll find out. um, so yeah, things have been a little hectic privately, so live streaming kind of helps me ignore those issues for a while. I just can get myself lost in the game, which is part of the reason I play these even extra. So if you'll remember, at the end of last week, I realized I was playing a version of the game that didn't have Chapter 5. So I made sure to load the version of the game with Chapter 5 this time. I don't know how that happened. So Orion.mp3. My mind wanders as I pace through the corridors of the past, the echo of my footsteps swallowed by the carpeted floor. Another day passes in this place that's supposed to be my home. As usual, the days are much the same. With a sigh, I find myself wondering what my life would have been like if I wasn't born royal. Where would I go? What would I do with my life? While I walk, the late afternoon sun sets behind the windows, giving way to a softly darkened sky as night descends on Goldus. For those who haven't been following along, we are indeed the youngest of 11 children in the royal family. So at first we didn't know who we were. We woke up on a spaceship and only able to remember our name and recognize that we were human or Kitalphan or Tilaari, depending on which you picked. For this playthrough, we picked Kitalphan, and we could pick our own pronouns: he, him, she, her, they, them. And in this case, we picked they, them. And you don't get an avatar of yourself, so you can picture yourself however you want. You can picture you in the game itself, or you can picture something else entirely. I don't really have a mental image of my character in the game, so I just pick names. Some people they always pick their names and pronouns, but I like to. What's the fun of playing a game if you can't play someone else? And that's not to say I'm not happy with who I am, but anyway, yeah. So you wake up, you don't remember who you are. You're on the ship in the middle of space with this crew, and you go to travel with them to their next stop because you don't have much of a choice. And there you run into someone from your past who helps you remember that you are the youngest member of the royal family that has just been massacred in a coup. And this, what we're seeing now, is a flashback to your time before that happened, before things went down the shitter, basically. I'm not supposed to be in this wing, but since it's larger than these, I can wander halls without fear of being caught. Luckily, the secret tunnels and passages I've found over the years have afforded me a way to move around unseen. I'll never not be grateful for that. Hearing voices nearby, I slow my steps to listen. Most likely just a couple of gossiping servants, but still, they might have something interesting to say. I creep closer to the corner of the hallway, straining my ears to hear them better. I told you, Seraph, I don't know what you'd think you overheard, but it certainly wasn't that. A familiar feminine voice cuts through the space, and when I recognize it, I take in a deep breath to avoid being detected. How dumb do you think I am, Anne? I know what you're planning, and I want in on it. Why should I trust you? Oh, this is her oldest sister, the heir to the throne, the only member of our family that cared about us. Oh, she's so pretty. Look at that dress and that face. And why? Why should I trust you? Why shouldn't you? I haven't given you any reason to doubt me before. There's a pause, and then a soft sigh. You understand what this could cost you, Vex? All of us? We're discovered before the time is right. Not one of us will be spared. I promise you, I'll do whatever I can to help you succeed. Peek around the corner just in time to see Vex take a knee in front of my sister. You have my loyalty, Queen Nerissa. Hey, who's there? I gulp as Nerissa looks in my direction, knowing I've been caught. Stepping out from behind the wall, I attempt a casual smile. I was just coming from the gardens. What are you two doing? So pretty. Ugh. She smooths out a wrinkle in her dress and gives me a fond smile. Just discussing past security. Boring, really. I feel Vex's amused gaze on me, his lips tilted to one side as he watches the exchange. My skin warms beneath his stare, the rhythm of my heart picking up speed. I stare at glance at Nerissa, wondering if she's noticed. If she has, she's not giving anything away. She wouldn't make a good queen if she did. That's one of the hallmarks of being royalty, is you can hide what you're feeling. And yes, I'm getting ready to pull out dice, because of course it would be a stream if I did roll dice for at least one of the choices. Okay. Dice, all the dice. Dice. Quickie math rocks. Okay, so here we go. I knew it was coming up, I wasn't sure it would come up this quickly. Okay, so I have a D4, so odd number first option, even number second option. 3. Sorry to interrupt, but I'll leave you to it. Nerissa takes a step before I can leave, giving me a small smile. Tony, wait a second. She turns to Vex again, her lips pursed. Though he towers over her, her presence never fails to command attention. Oh, she makes such a good queen. We'll continue this later, Lieutenant Seraph. Yes, Princess. Vex throws me a careless wink before he turns to go, leaving me alone with Nerissa. Releasing a breath, Nerissa smiles at me, a weight seeming to fall from her shoulders. I note that KYL3, her guard of sorts, is nowhere to be seen. Strange, given how close they are, and even stranger, given his penchant for keeping a close eye on Vex. Now, should I keep saying KYL3, or should I just say Kyle? Should we take a walk, Tony? With a nod, I step up beside her, letting her set the pace as we walk along the corridor together. A few steps, she turns to look at me, the familiar scent of floral perfume drifting through the space between us. I take in a deep breath, letting myself linger within the comfort of the scent. Do I even need to ask what you're doing on this side of the palace? She gives me a look of mock severity. I know that she doesn't mind me exploring the place, but unfortunately the king's orders far outweigh hers. Unfortunately. I sigh and give a small shrug of my shoulders. I was bored. Nerissa nods in understanding, a kind of darkness shadowing her features. It won't be like this forever, you know. What do you mean? She studies me thoughtfully, before finally giving a small shake of her head. Nothing, don't mind me. It's been a long day. For a good few moments, she seems lost in thought. Or perhaps she's simply enjoying the peace of the empty wing. I can't be sure. Okay, here we go. Got a D6 this time. 1 or 4, first option. 2 or 5, second option. 3 or 6, third option. So here we go. It's a 2. The conversation back there seems serious. Is everything okay? She stops walking and turns to face me, her mouth pulled in a tight line. Of course. Nothing for you to worry about. The doubt must show on my face because she chuckles softly and reaches out to put a gentle hand on my arm. I mean it. Don't you worry about a thing. I return her smile, hesitating a moment before speaking again. Is there anything I can do to help you? She sighs quietly, her eyes dancing with affection. You help me every day, Tony, by simply being you. Oh, man. I don't know why that gets me. Well, I get why things are, where I'm a bit more emotional, but still, why this? I would never ask any more from you, though I'd appreciate it if you didn't mention to anyone what you overheard earlier. I didn't. She holds up a hand and my words trail off into silence. I know what you heard, and it's all right. There are few people I truly trust in this world, but I know that I can count on you. Oh, my heart! With a nod, I confirm her words. She can trust me. Then a small thought crosses my mind. Can I trust her, too? I don't know what was going on between her and Bex back there, nor do I understand why he referred to my sister as Queen. A small trickle of doubt creeps into my mind, worrying that they're up to something that might not end well for either of them. My sister's a series of walking contradictions, warm yet cold, cunning but kind. She plays her parts, wears different masks, yet I can't help but think that there's so much more going on beneath the surface than even I'm aware of. The one thing I've never doubted is that she loves me, and that in turn she's the most important person in my life. That thought alone is enough for me. Always. You can always trust me. With a smile, she reaches forward to brush her fingers over the side of my face. And I'll always be here for you, no matter what. And in a way, she is. With the music box. Snap out of it. So, I asked you a question. Well, that's an abrupt change. Sorry, what was it again? I said it's time to do some combat training. If you think you're setting foot on land, you'll need to square up first. Okay. I usually pick the first option, but still gonna roll a D4 just to see, so odd number first option, even number second option. 4. I don't know if I can do this. Can't I just start along and watch or something? Where do you think we're going? A bloody luxury hotel? I shrug and Cabron rolls his eyes. All I know about Orion is a few bits and pieces the crew told me over the past few days. We're going to train. It'll do you good. Okay, fine. He shifts from the spot as though assessing me thoroughly, weeding out any weaknesses. Well, they'll have a choice. I want you to be comfortable with the combat style you decide to stick with. The crew volunteered to train you in whatever you choose. Since we have different specialists on board, you're lucky enough to have options. Shooting and firearms, close combat fighting, and knives, or hand-to-hand combat and defense. He crosses his arms over his broad chest and gives me a pointed look. So what will it be? Okay, so, with this one, which option you choose will affect which of the characters you interact with. And you can also indicate if you have a natural knack for that fighting style or not. So I obviously know which one will let me work with I asked. But we're going to do something different and let the dice choose. So I have a D6 that I'm getting ready to roll. So 1 and 4, firearms and shooting. 2 and 5, knives and close combat. 3 and 6, hand-to-hand combat and self-defense. So here we go. 1, firearms and shooting. Both guilty. Yes, I'm writing it down. Because otherwise I will forget. I guess I'll take the guns. Fine. June will be training you and Rihanna. Okay, so that's who we'll be talking to. Meet them down at the docks in 5. He strolls off towards the bridge, his shoulders tight, and I slip to my room to change into something suitable for physical activity. No, I'm not going to say who you work with for the others. You have to go play the game to find that out. No, I don't know if people remember, but this was very bare when you first arrived. The pet wasn't here. There was no um, papers here. So you're decorating, you're personalizing it. So after there's some of the clothes I've acquired, spares from the crew, and a few things I've been able to pick up on Terranium, I find a pair of comfortable pants and a plain t-shirt. My room is still pretty bare, but Damon had lent me a couple of books, insisting I had to read them. Mariana had gifted me with a summer plant to make the place look more homely. And then there were some of the notes and drawings that Bash had left on my door, the ones that always make me smile. And there's a book. I kept them as a reminder that I don't have to be alone. After finishing in my room, I take a minute to duck into the kitchen and grab a bottle of water before making my way downstairs to join June and Rihanna. Although I'm not entirely enthused by the prospect of this training thing, I force myself to look on the bright side. It can't hurt for me to learn how to defend myself better. When I reach the docks, I find June already there. He looks up as I approach, his face softening somehow. Tony, I'm glad you chose to train with me. You are? He nods, a soft smile forming on his lips. It doesn't take long for it to slowly fade. Where we're going, it'll make all of us feel better to know you have a basic set of skills to defend yourself with. Is Orion really so bad? Not Orion. The planet itself is safe enough, but the facility we'll be going to. He hesitates, his eyes glaze over as old demons creep up on him. Elisa snuck those bombs onto our ship as a means for us to destroy the prime facility and the mines, and I'm on board with that. But this will be the first time I've been back since Beth himself hitting me with those stormy gray eyes, the ones fighting back 100 shades of green. I don't know how I'll handle being back there. I give him a reassuring smile, but before I could say anything, the sound of footsteps on metal stairs echoes through the space. Sorry I'm late. Riona's soft voice cuts through the silence as she descends the stairs and hurries over. When she stands in front of us, catching her breath, she gives me an apologetic smile. I've been doing some tests on Vex. I lost track of time. Sounds legit. I would too. If it's something I'm interested in, I would totally lose track of time. I have done that. Not a good thing. It's fine. You're here now. That's what I have alarms for on my phone. That can roll the dice for this because we were totally asking how Vex is doing. How is Vex? Is he doing okay? Rihanna groans as push a few strands of silver hair back from her face. To be perfectly honest, he's not great. His moves are so unpredictable, it's difficult to know where to start. Have you made any progress at all? Very little. I have a couple of methods in mind that might help him, but they could be risky. I hate to break this up, but we don't have a whole lot of time to get Tony up to speed. We'll be on our own before we know it. Rihanna gives a nod and understanding. Of course, we can talk more about this later. June hovers over a selection of weapons nearby, picking out a handheld gun and holding it up to me. Here, take this. It's a blaster. I take it, handle first, and note the weight of the weapon in my hand, the coolness of the metal against my skin. See that small panel on the side? Light it back. That switch gives you the option to stun or kill. Make sure it's set to stun. That way we won't destroy the entire ship if we have any slip-ups. After first making sure the blaster is set to stun, I then slide the panel back into place where it locks with a click. Rihanna? June hands another blaster over to her, and she takes it tentatively. I really hate having to do this. I know, but it's the only way you'll grow comfortable using a weapon again. With a sigh, Rihanna checks her own switch on the blaster and adjusts the weapon in her hand. I'm sorry, June. I just don't trust myself. Well, I trust you, if that's any help. She lets out a small disbelieving laugh and cocks her head to the side. I suppose it helps a little. June takes a small device, no bigger than a teapot, and sets it on the ground further back. Tea. I don't drink tea, but I've just had the image that it's this little thing. When he activates it, a large roll of energy emanates from the device, cutting through the space. A couple of holographic targets appear, fully rendered in front of us. Now that's a handy way to have targets readily available without having to lug them out of storage or something. We'll be using the simulator for target practice. We can shoot at it safely, and it will absorb the energy from the blasters. To start off easy with stationary targets. Crosses to one side, holding his arms over his chest as he looks towards us. Riona, you first. I hear the tremble in Riona's breath as she inhales, holding the blaster in front of her. Then she fires, 5 shots in a row, all with terrifying accuracy. She seems to know exactly what she's doing and how to handle the weapon, so it makes me wonder why she needs these lessons at all. Good job, Rai. Riona, Tony, your turn. I mimicked the way Riona had held the blaster, raising and pointing it at the target. Okay, so this is going to affect something that happens later in the chapter. I usually pick the middle option because I didn't realize it, but there's psychology behind it. But we're going to use a D6 to make our choice here. So maybe it'll be the middle option, maybe it'll be one of the others. We don't know. So 1 or 4, first option, 2 or 5, second option, 3 or 6, third option. So here we go. And it's a 2, so it's still the middle option. I'm not sure how well I'll do, but I'll give it my best shot. So I think it's the first option. No, the third option is kind of terrify the others a little, or just scare them just a tiny bit. I pull the trigger once, feeling the blaster recoil as a bolt of energy surges forward and soars straight past the target. Give it another try. With my blaster aimed at the target, I pull the trigger again, and this time I managed to hit the hollow in the arm. June claps out loud, and I turn to smile at him. That's a good start. You'll be shooting like the rest of us in no time. We spend the rest of the afternoon training together, moving from stationary targets to moving ones, and then doing a small battle simulation. I thought I didn't do too badly, and June confirmed as much at the end of the session. However, I knew I'd still need more practice. Luckily, I have a trainer who is willing to put up with me through a few more training sessions. I think we can leave it there for now. We might be able to squeeze in another session in the morning before we arrive. Sure, thanks for training me, June. Not a problem. I hand the gun back to June, and he heads over to put it by the rest, making sure everything is tidy and in its proper place. When I look to Riona, I find she hasn't moved. She stands perfectly still, her eyes fixed on the hologram. Okay. Do I want the dice to choose, or do I want to choose? We'll let the dice choose. Odd number, June, even number, Riona. So here we go. Even. We're going to talk to Riona. I step closer to Riona, slowly, so I don't startle her. She seems to be lost in her own thoughts. Riona, is everything okay? She doesn't reply. Doesn't do anything besides stare at the target, eyes glazed in thought, and her mouth slightly parted. Riona? Huh? She jumps low and turns to me, her eyes wide. Then she shakes her head to clear it. Sorry, my mind was elsewhere. Give her an encouraging smile to try and ease her discomfort. Okay. And this time we are definitely using the dice. So for odd number first option, even number second option. 2. We all space out every now and then. I am definitely guilty of it. Me too. And sometimes not in good places to do that. She gives a small smile, shaking away whatever memories are lingering around the edge of her mind. You did well today. Did you enjoy the training? Okay, second verse same as the first, or would this be third verse same as the first? Odd number first option, even number second option. 3. I enjoy learning something new and how to protect myself a little. I don't want to have to rely on everyone else for that. I understand that feeling. You seem to manage yourself well with the weapon. I've had practice, and June is a good teacher. That he is. She's quiet for a moment, her long fingers joined together nervously. Then she speaks suddenly. I'm worried about Orion, not only for June, but I have a terrible feeling in my chest. Like something awful is going to happen. She manages a wobbly smile, pushing her hair back behind her ears. It's really just me being paranoid. I don't mean to worry you. Nope, not gonna let the dice choose. We are hugging her. She needs it. I open my arms in a silent invitation, and her lips softly curve before she steps into them, and I wrap her in a hug. A strand of her silky hair finds itself twirled around my finger, and I inhale the familiar scent of jasmine petals and rainwater. How is it possible that I found someone I care so deeply about on a ship I was never supposed to be on in the first place? Fate sure has a strange way of working out, of throwing the right people together right when they need it most. We say nothing, but after all the craziness of the past few days and everything that has happened with Vex, this hug is exactly what I needed. I get the feeling that it's exactly what she needed, too. When we finally pull away from each other, it's slow, hesitant. Her golden eyes meet mine, and I could swear I see the light of every moon in the system behind them. She's breathtaking, devastatingly so, and she has swept me off my feet entirely. Silence settles between us, but it's the comfortable kind. Fiona smiles again, her eyes twinkling at the sides as she does so. Thank you for coming to speak to me, Tony. You've made me feel a lot better. You don't have to thank me. I like talking to you. I like it, too. What are you doing, by the way? With Vex being on board and everything that's happened? I let out a deep breath, feeling myself against the lingering pain. I had promised I'd be strong, and I'm determined to stick to that. I'm doing okay. Despite everything, I know I can make it through. Fiona smiles and gives me a gentle pat on the arm. I admire your strength, Tony. Not everyone has it in them to move on from tragedy. With the last smile, she glances towards the stairs, hesitating for a moment before she leaves. I should really head back and check on Vex. He and Damon have most likely torn each other to shreds by now. Good luck with that. I'll see you later, Tony. She's so pretty. I smile after her as she goes, watching her silver hair sway behind her. Looking around, I notice that June must have left while Riona and I were speaking. With nothing left to do, I decide to head back to my room for a shower and some much-needed rest. After getting clean and grabbing something to eat, I relax in my room for a while, pulling out my holopad and searching for the planet we'll soon be landing on. I learned that Duran was the first settlement for humans when they left Earth almost 1,000 years ago. Okay, so this is giving us some backstory, some background. So it's been 1,000 years. I don't know if Earth even still exists in this. The species thrived on the planet, which wasn't too different from the home they had left behind, and overpopulation soon threatened to destroy it entirely. Sounds familiar? That was when the first human city was built on Goldus, and the early monarchy established. My ancestors. I take in as much information as I can, blazing through articles on science, agriculture, and politics, until my eyes can't take it any longer. Setting my holopad aside, I push myself up from my bed and stretch out the stiffness from my muscles. There's one thing that's been on my mind, one thing I know I can't continue to push away, that I need to face head on. Vex. With a heavy sigh, I head to the infirmary in search of answers. The scent of Rihanna's mist hits me when I enter. I can't quite place what the smell is, but it calms me somehow. Like lavender or soft vanilla, it almost makes me want to head right back to my room and curl up under the covers. Tony, what brings you here? Fiona greets me with a soft smile from where she sits across the room, entering data into her computer. Came to see how everything's going. Just peachy, as you can see. Damien cuts in from where I lounges on the medical chair in the corner, a folded book held in one hand, while he leans his head back against his other arm. He doesn't look up, but I get the feeling that he knows exactly what's going on in the room around him, without having to look at all. A quick glance further into the room gives me a glimpse of Vex, laying on one of the beds behind a set of half-drawn navy curtains. His eyes are closed, his chest moving up and down with his gentle breathing. A pair of round discs are attached to each side of his temple. We're monitoring his brain activity when he sleeps. Rihanna explains when she sees me watching him, beckoning me over to her computer. Research is the first step in finding a way to help restore him to, well, himself. See these lines here? She points to one corner of the screen where a series of wavy lines are wiggling in a box. It tells us that when he's asleep, the procedure he went through has little to no effect. All of his dreams are his own. His nightmares, too. Damon starts and Rihanna throws him a tired look. If we want your opinion, we'll ask for it. Thank you very much. That's not what you said before Tony showed up, Jock. You were happy to start all your medical mumbo-jumbo to me then. That was before you started dropping poisonous flowers into Vex's water jug when I wasn't looking. Damon laughed out loud, though Rihanna seemed less than impressed. It's not funny. She lets out a long, labored breath and swipes the back of her hand across her forehead. I could swear I see the corner of her mouth quirk upwards. Do you always have to be so infuriating? He gives her a lazy grin, his mouth opening before her eyes narrow on him further. Okay, fine, I'm shutting up. Moves a hand in front of him in defense and sits back in his chair. Banished to the corner for a reason, I remember. Rihanna turns her smile on me, though I can clearly see Damon smirking in the background. Their friendship is so weird. So Vex did mess with Vex's mind then. It is what we suspected. The very tissue in his brain has been tampered with. Almost like the wires have been pulled out and shoved back into the wrong sockets, rendering his former thoughts and feelings obsolete. Can you help him? She hesitates, sighing when she glances at Vex's sleeping form. There's still a lot that I don't understand. I don't have the technology on the ship to figure it all out. 1 second. Where will we find the technology we need, Orion? She grimaces, and I don't miss the look she exchanges with Damon. Only Tilaari would have what we need to really get into his head. But it's more than that. I'm afraid that this is above my skill level. So what does that mean? We do nothing? Trying to stabilize him, but it's only a temporary fix. If we want to remove the corruption from his mind permanently, then we'll need help. Come on, Doc, you know you're doing a bang-up job. Damon sits up in his chair and places his book down beside him, giving her a palm book. Can't figure it out. It's only because Zovek, his mad doctor, made it so. Rihanna gives him a grateful smile and rings her long fingers together. Damon focuses his attention on me. We've been in contact with Elisa, and boy, did she find something. What was it? Another of the doctor's victims. She spoke with the family, who said the subject hadn't been the same after they found her. Blank, empty, the perfect puppet, waiting for someone to pull her strings. But there was more. I wait for him to continue, he's swallowing around the lump in my throat. The family of the victim seemed to believe that the procedure wasn't complete, that there was another step. They were only rumors. Rihanna steps in, her brow furrowed in thought. My skin crawls with the chill Damon's words have left in the air. And Cursa, rumor told, wait. What more could they do? Infuse them with oronite, turn puppets into super soldiers. We don't know how they do it exactly, but we know we have a whole full of explosives ready to put a stop to it. And will blowing up the mines be enough to stop it? He shrugs unhelpfully, releasing a tired breath of air. Well, would you know anything about it? Rihanna and Damon exchange another of those looks, a silent conversation. He might, but we wouldn't dare ask. June is fragile. When it comes to Orions and labs, and Orionite especially, one has to tread carefully. Besides, there's only one Oronite mine in the system, so that's sky high, it's bye-bye evil green rock. He gives a dramatic flourish with one hand before he smirks. Cue Zovek crying into his golden bed sheets. I frown, my eyes run to Vex in his peaceful, sleeping form. Did Elisa find out if there's a way to reverse the procedure? No, no one knows how. No one on Cursa knows how. Rihanna raises her eyebrows at him as if to say, don't give up hope yet. But I don't understand. If Vex is already working with Zovek, why put him through such a procedure? Why does Zovek do anything he does? For control. Signs do suggest that the procedure Vex endured wasn't entirely successful, even in this state. If it was, we wouldn't be seeing the glimpses of Vex's true self that we have been. I wouldn't particularly say that's a good thing. Of course you wouldn't, Damon. Something else hang on. There we go. Get things out the way I want. Damon mumbles into the silence, blowing out a long breath before he drops in the chair and closes his eyes, a weird expression on his face. Define weird. What's the standard for weird? I step closer to the curtain that separates Vex's bed from the rest of the room and peer through it. He looks so peaceful when he sleeps. He almost looks like the same man I knew from the palace, one who could set my heart racing with only a look. It hurts now, seeing what he's become, knowing what he's done to me and my family. I wonder what business he has on Orion. He seems to be genuine and agreeing to help us get on the planet safely. I suppose him hitching a ride with us is the favor we're doing him in return. Still, the question remains, does he even want to be helped? Have you spoken with him much about what happened to him? I've tried, but he hasn't been very forthcoming. The easiest way for me to study him is when he's unconscious, but I'm afraid it doesn't give me an accurate reading of what's going on in his brain when he's awake. I'll be doing some work on him in the morning that might help him to stay more lucid, if only for a while. We need him to be cooperative as we get closer to Orion. What does all of this mean? I don't know yet, but Tony, it's possible that when he betrayed you, he didn't do it willingly. That hits me like a punch to the gut. The hairs on the back of my neck stand on end. A wave of nausea rolls over me. I've been trying to bring myself to terms that Bex betrayed me in the worst possible way, and now, sensing my distress, Brianna puts a comforting hand on my shoulder. We'll find a way to help him, I promise. Oh, good, I missed the pity party. And he's awake. All three of our heads snap towards the bed where Bex lays, rubbing at his eyes and yawning. He sits up in bed, his eyebrows dipping in the middle when he looks at us. Bex, how are you feeling? Like I'd still be asleep if the lot of you hadn't woken me up. Isn't he charming? Real gentleman. You're one to talk, Damon. Shut your trap. You're the loudest of them all. Bex groans as he pushes himself up and swings his legs over the edge, sitting on the side of the bed. Gives Riona a softer look than what he'd just given Damon. Any progress? There may be a little. Will you hold still for a few minutes while I check some of the data? He nods and Rihanna sits back in front of her computer, tapping away on the keyboard in front of her. We are definitely going to stay and talk to Bex. No need to roll the dice for this one. Without waiting for any kind of permission, I head towards the half-open curtain and slip past it. Bex gives me a side glance as I stand near the end of the bed, his voice still rough and sweet when he speaks. How's it going, Your Highness? Rihanna told me what happened to you. Bex raises an eyebrow at my abruptness, but he doesn't seem to mind it. Oh yeah? And what did the dear doctor say? I sighed, my shoulders slumping tiredly. I'm not sure Rihanna is even listening to us, instead paying too much attention to the data on her screen. Damon, on the other hand, I have no doubt that he's listening in on every single word. What I needed to hear, I suppose. For a brief moment, I think back to all the times I used to sneak off to meet him, and how bright his eyes were whenever I'd jump in for a hug or a kiss. It's hard to push down the wave of feelings the memory brings me, but somehow I manage. Sorry you've been stuck in the infirmary for so long. It's not like I have anywhere else to be. His face seems hard when he watches me, but if I look closely, I swear I can see a softness in his eyes. Perhaps it's just my own imagination. Vex is still struggling, I can see that, but now I know the reason why. Trying to piece together his betrayal and with what Zobek has done to him is one of the most difficult things I've had to do. When it comes down to it, I now know who the true villain of the story is. I'm fidgeting and I keep dropping stuff. I'm about to turn right around and leave when he reaches out to me. He hesitates a moment, letting his hand fall back to his side. Don't go. I stare at him for a moment, stunned. Then I take a seat near the end of the bed and give him a small smile. Okay. He lets out a long breath and runs his hand through his scarlet hair. I heard you've been doing some combat training. How's it going? I let out a small laugh and shake my head. I had one session. I don't think I'm going to sign up for the guard anytime soon. Yeah, well, fighting isn't easy, but at least you're giving it a go. I manage a small smile, though Vex presses his lips and glances away quickly. It's impossible to read the man. It was already difficult before, but nowadays like this, it's damn near impossible. But still, I can't let the chance pass me by. Okay, time for another roll of the dice. Odd number first option, second, even number second option. 4. I know you're stuck with Damon, but how has it been? Vex gives me a weak shrug. Not as bad as I thought it'd be, I guess. Damon isn't half as much of a nag as I expected, just as much of an asshole. But he doesn't walk around breathing down my neck, so that's a win. But what do you do all day? Vex shrugs, frowning slightly when he thinks of an answer. We talk, read, train, drink, nothing special, I guess. All pretty boring stuff if you think about it, but it's been helping me out in a way. How so? His words pique my interest, and I immediately lean closer to hear his response. He doesn't seem to know, so chooses to ignore my eagerness. I don't really get it, but sometimes he'll say or do something and it does something to me. It's never anything special or in particular, but sometimes the little things bring something to mind. One more time working together, I mean. So mostly random and weird things, right? Vex lets out a genuine laugh at my input, and it's hard to hide my excitement at the small, brief glimpse of the real Vex. You know us. What else could you expect? I laugh at the carelessness in his statement, a weird response to having your whole self taken away from you, and I'm not sure if this isn't all an act. But as long as he doesn't lose hope, I can't complain. Silence settles between us, and I catch Vex's eyes glazing over, staring at nothing. Worry twists at my insides, and the words leave me before I can even think better of it. Are you doing okay? Vex snaps his gaze to mine, eyebrows raised and eyes wide. Me? Yes, who else? Yeah, I'm sure I'm okay. You don't have to pretend with me, Vex. Tony? I sigh, hesitating before I speak again. There's something I need to ask you. He cocks his head at me, his expression grim. What are you going to do after Orion? You said you needed to go there, for some reason. Are you planning on staying? I have business to attend to on the planet, yes. As for what I'll do after that, I don't particularly enjoy fighting against my own mind half the time. I suppose I'll need to find a way to take care of that. You can come with us. Riona's going to keep trying to help you, if you'll let her. He frowns, and I swear I see something crumble inside him. Why would you say that? After everything I've done? I don't deserve to be here. I don't deserve any of it. Okay, again, not rolling the dice because we are absolutely doing this one. Without thinking, I reach out over the bed and grab his hand, wrapping my own around it. Vex looks at me with wide eyes, and I smile at him, trying to hide the sadness that seeing him suffer like this brings me. We don't say anything. I'm not even sure I'm breathing, as I expect him to pull his hand away from me at any second. But he doesn't. Instead, his whole face softens, the sharp lines on his features seeming almost gentle when he looks at me. It's a harsh reminder of the way he used to look at me whenever we were together in the past. A reminder of a young and pure seed of love that had been planted inside of me, and that I've been terrified of ever since. A soft gasp when Vex flips his hand over and holds my hand. His touch is gentle, almost too gentle. His finger trembles softly, and I can see the struggle in his eyes when he tries to touch me. It hurts. It hurts, and it tears me apart. It makes me want to cry and jump into his arms. It makes me want to storm out of here and murder Zobek with my own 2 hands for what he did to Vex. It hurts, but it makes me happier than anything has in a long, long time. But it seems to hurt him too, and I can't take it. With a soft smile, I squeeze his hand once and pull away. The touch seems to spark something in him, and he takes a long, trembling breath and closes his eyes. When he opens them again, they're not as soft as they were while I held his hand, but also not as hard as before we touched. Someone clears their throat nearby, and I startle a little. I've almost forgotten there are others around. Of course. So focused on Vex to forget there are other people in the universe. I'm sorry to interrupt, Vex. Can I take a few blood samples? Sure thing. I'll leave you to it. I shall get some rest before tomorrow. See you then. Vex nods as I say my goodbyes and head back to my room, ready to finally get some sleep before we arrive on Orion. And now you know why I want to go talk to Vex. I stepped onto the bridge the next morning, my muscles sore and aching from the quick training session I managed to squeeze in after breakfast. Training had gone much the same as yesterday, but it gave me some more time to get used to the guns I'd be using on Orion, and June seemed pleased with my progress. The weight of the vest currently strapped to a holster around my thigh feels strange, but I'm confident to know I have a way to protect myself. My knife sits in a holster on my belt, ready to be used in case of an emergency. The crew are all waiting when I arrive, even Vex, who stands securely between Damon and Riona. Riona had mentioned she'd be doing some work on Vex this morning, and I wonder if it was. When I look at him, he seems to be doing okay. I can only hope that that's the case. Now that everyone's here, we've got a few things to go over before we land. Cal puts his arms over his chest as he looks us all over. I don't miss the look of distaste he gives Vex, but seeing how we need him to help us get out of the planet safely, there's not much he can do about his presence. Damon starts off with the plan. Damon steps forward, and there's no trace of amusement, no sarcasm, no anything but steely determination as he stares us down. I have more of an idea now why Calderon trusted him with the rank of second in command. We've been in contact with Elisa and Zane, and have finalized a plan for how to use the explosives most effectively. There are 2 locations we need to hit, the prime facility and the mine itself. We'll be split into 2 groups. Cal, Riona, and I will take the mines. It'll be more effective with only the three of us. The rest of you will wait until it's triggered an evacuation, which will hit both locations at once, and June will lead you into the facility, where you will place the explosives. Damon looks at June, who gets a swift nod in confirmation. So he's doing what he can to help. The look on his face tells me that he's less than pleased with the idea. We'll need to detonate the explosives at both locations at the same time to avoid any unwanted attention in one particular place when we're making our escape. Cal and I will be on comm. The rest of you are there to watch each other's backs. Are we clear on that? Collective murmur goes to the crew, so Damon's sharp eyes linger on Vex, moving only when the other man gets a nod. We'll be going in during daylight when the prisoners held at the facility will be working in the mines. This way, evacuation will be smoother, meaning the prisoners don't get hurt in the process. After setting the timer on the bombs, get out of the building as fast as you can and meet back at the ship. There ain't enough of us to take on an entire Chimera unit, so avoid the fight unless you have no other choice. According to Elisa, she's made some new friends at this side of the system who will swoop in after we give them the signal. If the Chimera are vulnerable, they'll finish the rest of the batches off and pick up the prisoners. He shoves his hands in the pocket of his coat, his familiar feeling grin finally making an appearance. Any questions? Yeah, what happens if shit goes south? You die. What? Relax, I'm only kidding. Most of us have done shit like this 1,000 times already. Well, mostly me, but still. It's also why I'm putting you all on the facility team instead of mine. Considerably safer and easier to navigate, especially during the day. The place will be pretty much deserted when you break in, and you'll be with someone who knows the firsthand the layout of the place. Stick together, and you'll be fine. He steps back again, and Calderon takes his spot at the head of the group. Both Vex and June have given us a detailed idea of what we might meet on the planet. We know that Zovak has his soldiers posted at both locations, but there's a chance we might run into something worse. He nods at Vex, who steps forward next. I'll give you the short of it, since we don't have time to spare. Zovak is fusing the Orionite with soldiers from the Guard, the ones who refuse to bend the knee to him, making a new breed of super soldiers. Last I heard, it wasn't going as well as we planned. The soldiers couldn't handle the Orionite. They're mutating the worst kind of way, and more often than not, ended up dead. Only a few could survive it, and you better pray to whichever god tickles your fancy that we don't run into any of them today. My eyes instinctively go to June, watching the muscles clench in his tightened jaw. I feel sick just imagining what he has to put himself through today in order for us to pull this off. And knowing what Zovak is doing to the guards, people that Calderon and Ayame likely used to know, makes all of it so much worse. There's also... He's programmed every VTB he could get his hands on, forcing them to fight for him. My heart drops in my chest, and Calderon must have misread the look on my face, because he turns to me and explains the term. Vantage Tactical Bots. I fall around the lump in my throat and nod solemnly. Yeah, I know what a VTB is. Versus Guard, her best friend, he was a reprogrammed VTB. A pang of sorrow hits me when I think of Kyle. I don't know what became of him after Zovak's attack. With Nerissa gone, I've no doubt that he went down trying to protect her. Yet another person needlessly lost. But if Kay is among the VTBs fortified for Zovak, I can't bear to think of it. I can't stop myself from glancing at Vex. He's friends with both of them, my sister and Kay. Or at least, I thought he was. The look he gives me in return is indecipherable. If you run into either of them, the Orionite soldiers or the VTBs, the best advice is to run. There's no hope of taking them out with the numbers we have. Maybe June and Damon know a way to put one of them down swiftly, but if they have to worry about protecting anyone else, it'd be an impossible task. I think you underestimate us, buddy. Do as he says. Do one of these things, and you get the hell out of there. Our objective is to place explosives and bring the place down. Anyone who wants to go and be a hero could save it for another day. We all agree, and I trace a hand over my blaster, hoping I won't have to use it today. Ame, how are we looking? Good to go, just as soon as Red here is ready to get us through some serious security. Kitalphan raised a hand towards the co-pilot seat and looked at Vex. Chair's all yours. Don't screw us over or it'll be wiped out for you before your feet even hit the ground. Vex has a laugh as he heads for Cal's usual seat and drops down into it, spinning the chair around. You threaten everyone like that, big guy? Most of the time he's worse. If anything, I'd say he's being nice. Enough already. Damon, stay up here with the two of them and keep an eye on things. The rest of you follow me to the cargo hold and we'll strap in down there. What about me? You should stay here. Take that chair there and keep quiet. Personally, I prefer you if you stayed in the docks, but it'd be a lot easier for a ship this size to blend in with this 4-man crew on the bridge. Your face isn't plastered on any wanted posters like the rest of us. You mean Damon's isn't? Damon's in better graces with Zovak than most of us. But enough chit-chat. We're about to breach security perimeter. Stay safe, stowaway. I love that it's become a fond nickname. I've written fic because that's what I do besides playing games, is I write fic. And I've had Calderon use Stowaway as a fun nickname for the traveler. That's what they're called, traveler. I just think it's sweet. With a final nod, the captain walks away, and I rush to take my assigned seat. Damon sits with remarkable calm in his usual seat, even yawning while he watches Aya and Vex talking in front of us. I can't ignore the jitters I feel the closer we get to Orion. With a deep breath, I force myself to focus. If I look nervous, we're sure to fail the inspection, and I won't accept that. This is a notice to inform you you're about to reach Orion airspace. Identify yourself and your objective. A metallic voice rings through the comms, and I can hear Ayame take a deep breath before pressing the button and responding. This is the ATT Cruiser 906 requesting permission to land. We were hired to transport one of your own. This is Agent Seraph, ID number 7004Z. I lost contact with my vessel in Serenium and had to secure external transportation. Please hold while we check. Move it the fuck along, Maz. I ain't got all fucking day to wait around for you to do your job. Vex growls into the comms. That has Damon chuckling, but Aya merely rolls her eyes, finding the smile that tugs at her lips. Me, on the other hand, am terrified by that. We're trying to get in, and he acts like that? Good God. Yes, sir. Apologies, sir. It'll just be a moment. Now, that's more like it. Damon openly laughs at that, while I stare wide-eyed at the scene, trying to grasp what has happened. That little Mez, that scrawny bald bastard who couldn't even open a bottle of beer? The one and only. He's gotten a bit taller. He's got a bit taller, though, and he's not half bad at his job, but it's fun to scare him sometimes. The good old days. Shame we're here to make his life a living hell, but oh well. At least he's not stationed out on the facility. What, hesitant to kill an old friend? Are we talking about me or you, Vexy? Or do you need me to remind you of how you... Agent Sarah, sir, your ship has been granted permission to land. We just need to know the ETA to leave the premises. We need to perform a basic checkup. Once we land, there was an odd noise in our tertiary cooling system. I'd like to get it cleared up before leaving. Arrangements at a specialized facility have already been made, and I expect it would last no longer than 0800 hours. Just let my new friends pass this strike before leaving. That's not a problem. Please refrain from overstaying such time. I could give you a little leeway because you're with Agent Sarah, but I can't make any promises on behalf of the other teams. Good enough for me, Bosley. I'll be sure to buy you a beer next time we meet. I promise. I appreciate the assistance. We'll be landing now, ETA to reach atmosphere in 15 minutes. Roger, ATT Cruiser 906 is cleared now. And it's good to have you back, sir. Gosh, I haven't used regular speak in a while. And just like that, we're cleared. I had told us all to buckle up and lead us straight towards Orion. I can't believe we actually made it. Even less so when I see all the destroyers, frigates, and battleships spread out around Orion's atmosphere. The sight makes me shiver, and I close my eyes tight to calm myself while we land. Yeah, but this was only the first step, and the worst is yet to come. As soon as we landed, I hurried off to my room to drop off my jacket. It was remarkably warmer than we expected, and it'd be a hindrance to walk around with useless extra weight. I don't feel overly confident on my skills to get us through this mission, but I trust the crew. We will make it work. As I make my way to the door to hurry outside, I stop for a moment and look out my window. The forest we've landed on is stunning. It's like something straight out of a book. It's hard to force myself to walk away from it. With a sigh, I straighten my back and walk away, hurrying as I make my way through the ship to join the crew. The forest around us might be pretty, but our goal is the very opposite of that. It's a prospect that fills me with dread, but I can't afford to dwell now. When I reach the corridors leading to the docks, I spot Bash waving at me from the door leading downstairs before he turns and disappears through it. I quickly make my way after him, stopping at the top of the stairs to double-check all the weapons strapped to me. Pull my blaster out of the holster and note the gun is set to stun. We are not setting it to kill. We are leaving it on stun. Obviously, there's no need to make that choice if you pick one of the other training options. But it's kind of nice that you do have that option here. Satisfied with it like that, I shove it back into its holster. Just because I might get into a fight doesn't mean I fancy risking taking a life with my own hands. Some minds shouldn't be crossed. Once I'm sure everything is fine, I rush downstairs, barely noticing the docks, to make my way outside and set foot for the first time in Orion. Okay. I made it onto the planet! Yay! A warm, gentle breeze strokes me when I step outside, and I'm stunned when I look around. We're in a dense but soothing forest, right next to a stream, with a waterfall visible in the near distance. The sound, coupled with the chirping of birds, bring about a peaceful feeling, even though I'm as tense as I've ever been. Warm sunlight peeks through the trees, casting a soft yellow glow around us. There are weird, round, and curious ruins strewn about, all broken and deteriorating, but all still intrinsically beautiful. So many questions, and a mind and urge to go off exploring every inch of this place. That's me. I would love to just go wandering and exploring, but I'd say I have a job to do. It's a shame we can't afford the luxury now. Alright, listen up. The facility is just behind this group of trees, but there are no guards or security systems in place here. There is, however, a patrol team that sweeps by every hour, so we have to hurry because we're on the clock. Bex doesn't speak too loudly, but his voice seems to echo around the clearing where we all nod at him. It's too late to question our trust in him. We either follow his lead or we're doomed. He's got his rifle safely strapped on his back now. It's weird to see him armed again after all these days he spent with us, yet it seems to be part of him. I was surprised Cal was fine with Bex coming with us while armed, but I think we can't afford to dismiss the help, just to be on the safe side. Still, I don't think Bex has any intentions to betray us now. In complete silence and moving as a solid unit, we run towards the edge of the forest. My heart hammers in my chest and my palms feel sweaty. I push my nerves away. This isn't the time for doubt and hesitation. This is the time for action. Soon enough, we reach our destination. We stop just on the edge of the tree line, and my chin drops when I see the massive building that looms in front of us. It's large, at least 5 stories tall, and who knows how many underground floors. The walls are stark white, and it has wide mirrored glass windows spread all over this geometrical architecture. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful, it's terrifying, and I immediately hate it. We're going in. The alarm will go off in 15 minutes after we get in, so stay sharp, because the patrol team will make their rounds in exactly 17 minutes, which means there isn't 1 second to waste. Don't let your guards down. Good luck, everyone. We all nod, and me and the rest of the crew sit tight, watching while the three of them rush towards a side entrance that I'm assuming leads to the mines. The minutes fly by, but none of us utters a single word. The tension around us thick enough I could taste it. The time to go is fast approaching, and we don't have a second to waste. Sooner than expected, June signals us, and we all rush after him into the building. The crippling fear of getting caught prickles the back of my neck, but I ignore it and press on. We go inside through a different door than the captain and the others went through, and what meets us is as far from the scenery of the mine as possible. The facility already looks massive on the outside, but the inside is even more imposing. It has tall walls, and it seems to be divided into several blocks, connected through overhanging bridges and surrounded by glass walls. The whole place is in a sickening off-white color, with harsh white lights casting eerie shadows all around us. We just got in, and I can't wait to leave. To say a silent prayer that everything goes well and we manage to get out of here sooner rather than later, I'm not sure how effective this will turn out to be. A huge holosphere takes over the center of the lobby, and we step closer to check it out. This is a map of the facility. Apparently, it's still the exact same thing as it used to be. You don't need to waste any time with it. It's this way. I'm impressed by the sheer level of detail on this holosphere map, but even more impressed by the fact that June doesn't seem to need it in the least. Nobody questions him, and we all quickly follow his lead. He grew up here. Of course he knows the layout. The facility is completely empty. The evacuation alarm must have worked, thankfully, so we're able to move without any concerns. Soon enough, June has led us into two locations on the first and second floor, where Bash and I have set up the bombs near a central column. From what they explained to me, as long as we take the key structures up, the whole building will follow suit, unable to support its own weight without those structures. Yep. I've picked this up from watching stuff about building things. There's a reason that triangles are used in a lot of structures because they're actually more stable than squares or quadrilaterals, I guess you should call them, because they're more stable than anything with four sides. And squares are only one type of shape with four sides. We're making our way to the third floor with not a single word uttered without need. I've got Vex checking out random rooms while we make our way over, and while it did look suspicious, he's made nothing to indicate he's about to run or turn on us. It's almost as if he's searching for something, and I don't think he'll rest until he finds it. We turn a sharp corner and enter a completely empty corridor. There are no ornaments, no signs to indicate what the rooms here are. There's nothing. We still have 3 bombs to plant. I think we're making good time. I can only hope the team in the mines is having as smooth a job as we are. Still, something feels off with this corridor. My body tenses more and more the farther in we go, and I can see June's knuckles lightening as he tightens his grip on his gun. It's in here. The old labs are through here. They should still be deactivated after all these years, so it should be as simple as planting a bomb in an empty room. With a determined, if not angry look in his eyes, June locks his jaw and pushes open the pair of doors. The moment he sees the inside of the room, though, his face goes blank, and he leaves us behind, walking into the room as if he'd been put under a spell. Oh no, that is not a good sign. We stepped through the set of doors June entered, and ourselves in what can only be described as the most horrifying place I've ever seen. A variety of cables come out of the ceiling of floor, with countless machines and research papers strewn around. Green lighting adds to the eerie feeling of the room, and it's scarily silent. It's almost as if life itself has been sucked out of the room, as if death swept this place up and walked away, leaving only ghosts chained by pain and misery in its wake. This is a mad scientist lair, a place that's most likely given birth to so so many nightmares that it makes my knees tremble from merely thinking of it. I hear the others gasping and taking sharp breaths at the sight just as I do. It's an unsettling room, no matter who you are or where you're from. Slowly, with hesitant steps, I approach one of the large cylinders that's connected to countless cables. It's foggy, and it's hard to make out what's inside, or if there even is anything in the green fluid. A low, weird growl comes from inside when I step closer, and I immediately retreat, my heart hammering in my chest at what I see inside, at what I see everywhere. There's a person in there. Or what used to be a person, I think. His arms are too long, his muscles too stretched, and his face is completely covered by a large metal mask, with a tube connecting to the top of the cylinder. And they are everywhere. Every cylinder has someone inside. The room further in has countless of these creatures behind the glass windows, faceless, shapeless creatures, deformed and deprived of all humanity. It's hard to breathe. It's hard to think in here. My ears ring lightly, and my breathing gets labored. I'm on the verge of a panic attack. I can feel it. Just as I'm about to lose it, my companion's voices drag me back to reality. I struggle to focus on whatever it is they're talking about. You okay? June, you should wait by the door with Bex. Shut up! Bash and Ayame widen their eyes at the tone in June's voice, my panic long gone when I see the contorted look on his face. Even Bex by the door has a serious look on his face, his hand hovering near the panel to open and run if need be. This place shouldn't exist. This place should have died with him. What are you talking about, June? June punches a monitor on the desk closest to him, smashing the screen as if it was made of a thin layer of fragile glass. He doesn't look at me when he replies, his eyes fixed on the cylinders spread around the room. I can't tell if his eyes are gray or green anymore. I can see Ayame and Bash taking a careful step back. This whole place, this disgusting torture room, I destroyed it. I tore it to fucking shreds all those years ago. I killed all of them with my bare hands. How did they rebuild it? How the fuck did they know how to replicate the procedure? How dare they? June is trembling, his whole body is tense, and the rage in his voice is palpable. He's not even speaking to me, but it makes the hairs on the back of my neck rise regardless. He tears his hand out of the smashed monitor, his neck is cut and bleeding, a blood that's green? No, it's red. It glows faintly in a green color, almost as if it's alive. Could it be that he's been experimented on so much his whole body is different than ours? Mumbling to himself, he shuffles through a stack of folders on the desk, flipping through them like a madman in search of something, stopping and tearing a page out of one of the folders, a murderous look on his face. Mother. What? I asked under her breath, unsure of what I'd heard. What does it possibly mean? So that bitch survived? With a dark chuckle, he pushes the stack of folders to the floor. His eyes are entirely glazed over with a green fog now. I'm not sure if June's still aware of our presence here with him. Nothing I can't fix. Dude, this is not funny. We gotta plant a bomb in this room and at least 3 other places on this floor. We gotta do it now. June, please. These bastards think they can use people as their guinea pigs. They think it's all justifiable as long as it's for the greater good. Yes, they're right. They're right, because this is exactly why I'm going to murder every single thing in this room. One monster walking around isn't enough. I don't need any company from the defective freaks in this fucking lab. June's fists are clenched on his sides. His body seems bigger somehow. His muscles more pronounced and shoulders tense and hunched forward. But it's not that catches my eyes. It's the green. The gray in his eyes has been completely overtaken by a bright, sickening green. The veins in his body glow, trailing a blazing green map over his skin, and when he turns his head to the side, flaring and growling as he approaches the closest glass cylinder, I can see a sharp fang poking out amongst his teeth. I can't tell if he's always had a sharper canine, or if it is yet another byproduct of the horrors he went through when he was younger. With a loud scream, June attacks the cylinder. His guns remain in their holsters, though, and they seem like a child's toy when I see the vicious damage his fist caused with thick glass on the cylinder. Bash curses behind us, and Ayame lets out a low whimper. Bex, still by the door, gestures for us to get out. Seems like the logical thing to do. Sure, we didn't manage to plant a bomb here, but something tells me this place won't have a single wall left standing once June is done with it. But still, is it right for us to leave him here? Yeah. Okay. We are rolling a dice here. Just give me a moment. I need to drink some water. Okay, so odd number first option, even number second option. 4. Get out now. I don't blame June for being furious at this facility. Knowing that he too probably went through something similar to this is enough to make me sick to my stomach. But still, it doesn't sound like a good idea to try and get through to him now. He's too far gone in his rage, and we don't have the time to spare. Besides, I really don't want to die as a side effect here. Carefully, I take a step back, making my way towards the doors with the others. In a swift motion, June pulls out the cable that was linked to the mask on that creature's face and tears the cylinder apart, letting the creature's broken body drop on the floor. It makes my stomach lurch. A sticky liquid drips from it, and from here I can see it still twitching, almost as if it's gasping for air in a desperate attempt to survive. Until June growls and steps on its head, squashing it as if it had the density of an orange. Lovely. A gasp escapes me at the sight, and I cover my mouth with my hands in an attempt to muffle the sound, but it's too late. June looks over his shoulder at us, holding his head with his clean hand. Now, I'm horrifying the reason that he looks like that, but that is amazing art. The green veins have spread out over to his face, making the bright green in his eyes all the more pronounced. But more than that, there's a murderous look on his face, pure and unabashed rage stretching his features, and I can't fight the chill the sight brings me. Get them out of here. Go and place the other bombs. I'll meet you soon. But I'm fine, Aya. This is what I really am. I'm only sorry you all had to be here to see this. My heart aches at the shame etched in his voice, but there's nothing I can do to help. There's nothing any of us can do. I get it now. This is something he has to deal with himself, else he won't ever get the closure he needs. There are so many things I want to ask him, so much I want to know, but we can do this later. Don't worry about this room. I've got a bomb with me, and there won't be anything left standing in here before I plant it. Bash gives him a sharp nod and pulls me out of the room in a rush, with Ayami hot on our heels. Seeing June like that was certainly not what I expected, and I'm sure Ayami and Bash were just as shocked if the look on their faces as they got as far as the next bomb location is any indicator. Bash was probably just as shocked, but when I turned to check up on him, I kept him sneaking away through a side door with a determined look on his face. I really, really shouldn't do it. I sigh, slowing my steps enough so Ayami and Bash won't hear me sneak away as well, and I follow back to the same door he went. The whole thing with June is still haunting me, but I push his thoughts away. I can hear the sound of metal being wrecked in the distance, and I can only hope he'll catch up to the others soon. But right now, I have a runaway to worry about. I mean, technically they're not going anywhere alone. Going into the facility, I take care to stay far enough behind him that he won't notice my presence. He keeps up the pace, as swift as a sniper he is. Does he even know where he's going? This might have something to do with the business he mentioned he had here, or it could be more sinister than all that. When I turn the next corner, I lost sight of him. Shit. I keep going in the one direction, hoping he'll find a clue in one of these deserted corridors, but all of them look exactly the same. I'm just about to give up completely and try to find my way back to the others, but somewhere on the next corner, and I see it. A door. An enormous cylindrical door. And it's standing half open. I creep towards it cautiously, my senses on high alert. There are no sounds, nothing but an eerie silence. The air grows thicker the closer I get to that foreboding door. Slipping through the entrance, I find a set of grated metal stairs leading down as far as I can see. I step down into the darkness, my heart beating beneath my chest like the wings of a tiny hummingbird. I don't see Vex, and I don't hear anything besides the rush of blood in my ears. Why did I follow him? The last time I did it, it didn't end well, and still I find myself here. This is a trap. I can't say I don't deserve it. When I emerge from the stairs, when my eyes adjust to the lack of light, I hit a ramp that goes down further still. The cavernous cylindrical room engulfed me on all sides, dark, sterile, and utterly hopeless in its appearance. Rows upon rows of heavy steel doors leave no doubt as to what this place is. A prison. I tiptoed towards the closest cell, using the fluorescent light above the door to peer into the darkness. Empty. Creeping to the next one, I find the same thing again and again. These cells are all empty, which means that the prisoners, as we expected, will be in the mines. You can only pray that each and every one of them was evacuated during the alarm. Ugh! A growl and then a thump echoes through the space and rumbles up the metal walls. My heart picks up speed as I follow the sounds, my hands tightening around my blaster. So when I've cleared the catwalk into the flash of a computer monitor, my pulse starts to slow. Vex? I sprint through the dim light, finding him tapping away at a panel on the wall frantically. Where are they? Where are they? Vex, what's going on? The scent of rust and stale air hangs in my nose. Compared to the rest of the facility, prison is dark, dingy, and unkempt. Well, of course, it's just prison. It doesn't need to be pretty. No one's there of their own free will. My heart goes out to the poor souls who have been forced to live here. God damn it. Vex growls through the darkness, frantically sweeping through screen after screen. I've never seen him so distraught. And then he stops. His fingers poise over the monitor. No. With a deafening crack, he puts his fist to the screen, the monitor flickering for a few seconds before it going black. He keeps his hand embedded in the glass. His head falls against the wall, his shoulders moving up and down when he takes in a big, shuddering breath. And then he pulls his fist back again, and before launching it at the already broken screen, again and again, until the glass is nothing but splinters and his hand drips blood over the grates beneath us. Stop! I launch myself forward right as he buries his face in his hands and screams, the sound echoing sharply through the cavernous space. Drops to his knees, head bowed, and fist clenched tight. I put a hand on his shoulder and try one last time to get through to him. What's happened? Chokes on a breath before he answers, his voice filled with emotion. It's my parents. They're dead. And I just grip the words out through his gasps of pain. Zovek lied to me. All this time. Yeah, of course we're going to comfort him. I dropped down to his level, my fingers moving over his back to comfort him. Now I understand why I'd wanted to come here. Paris was in this prison, and he was hoping to find them. My heart clenches uncomfortably. I know what it's like to lose your family, and it seems that now Vex does too. A few long moments pass before he calms his breathing long enough to look at me. I'm so sorry, Tony. There's one thing I haven't told you. An ominous chill runs down my spine, and I find myself backing up out of instinct. I get the feeling that I'm not going to like whatever he says next. What is it? Clenches his teeth, fighting against himself. It was me. It was me. What are you talking about? My chest clenches, every muscle in my body tensing up. Whatever Vex is trying to tell me is causing so much pain he can barely speak. He takes a few trembling breaths before he faces me, tears streaming down his face. I remember. I left the palace so I could stop him. Zovek. I couldn't let him hurt you, or Kyle, or... He growls and chokes on a sob, his eyes squeezing out tears when they shut tight against whatever he's feeling. I told him my mission was a failure, that there was no easy way into the palace or past its extensive security. I was stupid, an absolute fool. He knew I was lying from the second I opened my mouth, but I was desperate. So that's where you went. When you left, you weren't returning to Zovek, you were trying to stop him from attacking us? But I don't understand. The attack happened anyway. Riona mentioned you'd been put through some kind of procedure? Vex nods, his usual bright eyes going dark. The doctor. That's the only name I've ever heard them call him. He's a madman from Cursa, experiments with shit that's best left alone. There was nothing I could do once Zovek gave the order. He knew I was hiding something, and I was never going to talk. He grits his teeth tight, the muscles in his jaws feathering with his emotions. The procedure they performed on me was a wiping of the temporal lobe. He forced me to have everything taken away. But I felt for you was gone, and I told him everything. He takes in another breath, composing himself well enough to explain. I told him about Narissa, what she was planning, how I was working with her against Zovek to strip King Fenris from his throne. She would have done it too. She had allies. She had to. The flash of something savage, something strange washes over him, and I know he's struggling against himself. I step closer and speak quietly, urging him on. What happened to my sister's plans? Zovek was forced to strike first. As soon as he learned what Nerissa was planning, he rallied everything he had to take them, all of you, out. He bowed his head towards the grate, overcome with grief. I told her she had my loyalty, and I meant it. I asked her to trust me, and when she did, I betrayed her. But he didn't do it willingly. Zovek forced you into telling him what she was doing. Before that, you really were on her side. He nods, but something still pains him. As I got closer to you and became friends with Nerissa, I knew there was a better way to bring stability to the system. That's why you were working with Zovek in the first place? For his vision of the system? Not entirely. I did it for my parents. When I was 14, they were brought here, to this prison. They ran a small tech repair shop in Silver District. When their taxes became too much to keep up with, they were sentenced to a life working in the Orionite mines. Fuck. That was mentioned before. Ugh. Gotta keep going. I was recruited to the Kitalphan under the pretense that we would save them. All of them. King Fenris sent good people, innocent people, to suffer in those mines before the smallest of infractions. Something had to be done to stop them. The Kitalphan had a plan to do it. But Nerissa, I knew that she was better for the people, that she would be a fair ruler. So I switched sides, knowing that once she was queen, she would help me find my parents, and that she'd give the people of Celiota the life they deserved. Your father was never going to be harmed. Nerissa would have had him abdicate the throne by amassing a force against him. But she needed more time to set the pieces in place. Zovek was close to striking, so I left to buy her that time she needed. She had no idea what I was doing. My mind swirls with confusion, wars and royals against everything I thought I knew. How did I not see what Nerissa was planning? But Nerissa hated our father. Why would she bother with abdication when she could have just killed him? She may have hated him in theory, but she cared about him too much to see him harmed. And besides, what kind of standard would that have set for her reign? That's true. Can't explain why, but I almost feel betrayed by my own sister. Why had she kept this from me? Why didn't she let me help? The one thing I know for sure was that Vex had been trying to help us both. I think you understand now what happened, why you left. Vex, you can't blame yourself for that. Not when Zovek did something so vile and intrusive to force you to talk. His face shatters, 1,000 daggers of emotion striking him all at once. There's more. My heart drops in my chest, my throat tightening, dreading that look in his eyes. What more could there be? Vex squeezes his eyes closed, as though ashamed of what he's about to say, his hands trembling at his sides. I fought against my own brain from the second they wiped it. Fought so hard it was tearing me apart from the inside. But I wasn't drowning in a mind that wasn't my own. All I could think of was getting back to you, of warning you. The night came when Zovek and the Chimera would storm the palace, and I was given instructions of my own. Vex breaks down again, and when he drops his head, tears stream from the tip of his nose. His hands shake so badly they rattle the grate beneath them. I tried to stop myself. I would put a bullet in my own head before carrying out those orders, but the more I fought against it, the harder it was to stay lucid. The ballroom was chaos. I don't think Zovek had expected so many people to fight back, as deluded as he was about his own hero complex. I couldn't find you. You weren't at the wedding, like I had expected. But he chokes on a sob, his fingers running through his hair and gripping so hard I half expected the strands to tear out completely. Nerissa was there, and before I knew what was happening, the sound of my own gun was ringing through my ears. The world falls down around me, and my eyes go wide, firmly fixed on the broken man in front of me. No, you can't. I struggle with the words as my chest caves and my mouth goes dry. I don't want to hear anymore. I can't hear anymore, but it keeps going. She was in my arms, and the blood, so much blood, it's all over me, soaked through to my skin. Stop. Stop. I killed her. I killed Nerissa. Okay. Just wait a moment. sign that the writing is good, that it makes you cry. When you're not reading it aloud. Okay. Yeah, when I first played through this, I knew what was coming, and pain rings through my ears, boils the blood in my veins. I lean against the railing to steady myself before I fall. It can't be true. It can't. It can't. It can't. Marissa. I killed her, and the pain was overwhelming. I couldn't stand the guilt of knowing what I'd done, so I gave in to the shadows of my mind. I let them consume me, and I knew nothing of my own self until I saw you, Subterranean. The rush of my own blood thunders in my ears, drowning out the world around me. My lungs tighten painfully in my chest as I struggle for breath. I can't. It was me, Tony. It was me. I'm so sorry for what I've done. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, so we're gonna roll with dice here. The third option is off the table. Honestly, I've never picked an option that eliminates a possible romance route. I may do a throwaway playthrough where I'm not saving it. I'm just doing it just because I'd love to see all the possibilities, but it would hurt so much to say nope. So, a number, first option, even number, second option, nothing for the third option. 3. Taking a few deep breaths, trying to compose myself enough to think straight. Marissa's gone. I already knew that, and knowing that Vex was the one to do it is enough to shatter me all over again. But when I look at him, seeing him so broken, so overcome with grief and regret, I know that I'm not the only one who's struggling. It hurts so much, but I forgive you. Marissa would have wanted me to. He looks at me, stunned. His voice shakes when he speaks. You should hate me. I can't forgive myself. You have to. I'll help you. He breaks down again, and I kneel beside him, pulling him into my arms and feeling the weight of destruction rumble through me. So, in a way, that encounter back on Terranium helped both of them, because it brought back your own memories, and it brought him back to himself. Nothing matters now. My parents are dead. Marissa is dead. What else do I have? Before I can answer, shouts echo from above, and my head snaps towards the side of Khmeri soldiers swarming the prison. They're down here! I grabbed Vex by the arm, attempting to pull him to his feet. Vex, get up. We have to go. He lets me help him up, and I scan the prison wildly, looking for an exit. This way. The way I had come from is clear of soldiers, and I decided it would be best to have at least some semblance of where I'm going. My feet pound over the grated floor as I head for the stairs, Vex hot on my heels. We travel up and up, the same way I'd come down before. When we reach the corridor near the labs, I skid to a stop, looking for any sign of the others. A quick glance of the area tells me that it's empty, terrifyingly empty, and I shudder when I think of what June might have done in there. Come on, let's keep going. I motion for Vex to follow, and we continue through the facility in what I hope is the right direction through the main lobby. It doesn't take long for shouts and footsteps to echo behind us, and I know we're still being pursued. I skid around another corner, almost colliding with the person who's coming from the other direction at the same time. Tony! My heart leaps to my chest at the sight of Ayame, June, and Bash. Where the hell have you been? The bombs are set. We have to get out of here now. Shouts echo from behind us, the hairs on the back of my neck standing on end as the Khmeri close the distance. Hurry up, let's go. We race through the corridors of the facility, following June's lead and trusting him to get us out of here in time. My feet pound the rolling floors, and this time I'm not worried about keeping quiet, because they already know we're here. Yeah, what's good? And we hope that we can cause enough of a distraction to keep them away from the bombs. Aya's headgear illuminates, and Calvary's voice can faintly be heard through the earpiece. Aya, what the hell is going on? We've evacuated the mines. It's time to go. We're coming. Just hold your goddamn horses. The horses have well and truly left the stages. Get your asses out here before I come in and haul you out myself. All right. Picking up speed, we tumble through the corridors and race around corners, pushing ourselves to keep ahead of the Canary. We at last reach the lobby, and I have to put a foot firmly down to avoid colliding with Bash as he comes to a sudden stop. I look past him. I see what exactly is blocking our way. Hands where we can see them. We're blocked in both the front and rear by Canary soldiers, the half-moon insignia on their dark armor giving them away. There aren't as many as there were in cursive, but there's enough to outnumber the 5 of us 4-1. I follow the suit of the others as they raise their hands, and the soldiers step forward, presumably to disarm us. Before they could take more than a few steps, gunfire screams through the whole floor, and one of the soldiers crumbles to the ground. A second shot is fired, taking out another soldier, and a third and fourth fall forward, revealing an extremely smug-looking assassin in their stead. But you could use some help. Really? That's the grand entrance you chose to make? Let's just get this done. Damon, Calderon, and Rihanna fight their way through the Canary towards us, while the rest of the crew take the back line. Though there was a broken mess just minutes ago, even Vex takes out a pair of soldiers, swiping one of their guns and finishing them both off with ease. By the look of curiosity flashing his face, I could tell this was some kind of step towards revenge for his parents. Distracted by the others, I don't realize until it's too late that another soldier is heading straight for me. The weight sends me sprawling to the ground, knocking the wind from my lungs, and when I scramble backwards, I find the soldier descending on me with the blade of his sword. Pulling my blaster from his holster, I take aim and shoot. Flash hits him in the stomach, and he stumbles back, the sword dropping from his hands and landing on the floor with a clatter. Nice! Flash breezes past and pushes him off with a fist to the face, throwing me a wink as he passes by. The atrium is alight with battle as each of the crew faces off against their enemies, vastly outnumbered but willing to fight to the death. So yeah, your choice of weapon and whether you were very bad with it, middling, or terrifyingly good, that affects how things go in this scrim right here, this scrimmage. I glance around wildly for where I can help, but before I can make a move, the ground trembles beneath my feet. A ripple goes through the entire floor, followed by a deep rumble, and then the deafening sound of the explosives booming through the building. The floor behind me caves in, taking the soldiers with it. Everyone, get the hell out of here! I push myself to my feet and run as fast as my legs will take me, fearing the sounds of destruction lapping at my heels. I fall hard, launching out in time to grab the edge of the crumbling floor as I fall against the pit, hanging by only a thread. Despite my better judgment, I look down, immediately regret the decision. Amongst the rubble below lay the broken bodies of Canary soldiers, dead in the dust. The drop alone is enough to kill me, enough to tear the breath right from my lungs. I'm going to fall. I'm going to die. In these last precious moments, my thoughts turn to only one thing. And this is where you pick your romance. Actually, I'll be right back. I need to take care of something. Alright, here we go. Yeah, so this is where we pick our romance option. And I am really tempted to pick Vex, but I'm gonna stick with Aya because So many games have very few female romance options that are written well, and I have my own reasons for not picking Rihanna. So we're gonna go with Aya. My thoughts turn to Ayame, and I can't hide the truth from myself any longer. What I feel for her is more than simple care or friendship, more than a fleeting flutter on the heart whenever she's nearby. I'm crazy about the woman, and it's only here now that I'm finally letting myself embrace that thought. I only wish we had more time together. The dust from the crumbling building falls down into my face, and I splutter, my grip on the ledge weakening. I can't hold on much longer. The sound of shouts drifts down to me from above, and I can only hope that the crew made it out okay. I wish I could know that Ayame made it out safely. My fingers grow numb, sweat dampening my palms. This is it. This is the end. When I lose my grip completely, my stomach lurches and I cry out, squeezing my eyes shut in the hopes it will make the final impact quick, painless. But I don't fail. Something grips my arm and my legs flail beneath me as I hang suspended over the pit below. Tony! Jesus, this isn't as easy as they make it seem in movies. My heart swells as my eyes snap upwards, finding Ayame leaning over the ledge, her grip the only thing keeping me from dropping into the pit below. As if my very thoughts have manifested her, she's here, her violet eyes burning with determination. Here, grab this! Ayame points with her hand to a steel beam, wants a piece of the roof above that is falling down in sections. She lowers it down to me, and I grab hold. With some effort, she manages to help me get up high enough that I can pull myself over the edge of the pit. We push each other out of the way, right as another part of the ledge crumbles and falls away. We go tumbling into the debris together in a tight embrace. With a groan, she pushes herself up and sits on her heels beside me, checking for her injuries. When she realizes I'm okay, she lets out a breath of relief and drops her head. You can't die, Tony. I can't lose you. Yeah, don't need a dice for this one. Of course I'm gonna kiss her. I can't stand to see her like this, nor can I stand to keep myself from holding her anymore. In swift motion, I pull Ayame closer, cutting my fingers through her hair when I kiss her. Ayame waits in her eyes for a moment when I kiss her, but she quickly melts in my hands, kisses me back with an eagerness that catches me off guard. My body goes warm, my heart pounding like a hammer in my chest. This is hardly the time or place for this, but I can't help myself. I'm just so relieved to be safe, and to know that she is too. She pulls back from me far too soon with a dazed look on her face and a soft blush on her face. I really, really wish I could kiss you forever, but we need to get out of here. I nod in understanding as she pushes herself up and helps me to my feet. For the first time I notice the atrium is clear, bodies scattered amongst the wreckage. The building groans with the aftermath of the explosions, and Ayane grabs me by the hand. We've done the smashing, now it's time to do the dashing! Together we race for the main doors of the building. I scan the bodies as we pass, searching desperately and hoping I don't spy any familiar faces amongst the rubble. As we hit the main doors, all I've seen is the familiar black of Canary armor. When we step outside and the late afternoon sun hits my face and warms my skin, a sigh of relief goes through me. The rest of the crew are waiting in the distance in the tree line. As we approach, the look of relief on all their faces is enough to have me crumbling. They're all here. We're all okay. We need to get back to the ship and signal our new friends before a second wave of soldiers descends on us. Where are the prisoners? Did everyone make it out all right? They're in a valley not far from here. With their help, we managed to take out their captors. They have leaders amongst them who are taking care of the others. They already know that help is on the way. We let out a heavy breath. It's such a relief to know that our plan succeeded, and yet somehow I still can't believe it. It'll be dark soon. We should get back to the ship and get the signal out immediately. Let's stick to the forest. It'll be harder for any aircraft to spot that way. Agreed. We're getting close to the end, obviously. We stick together as a group as we head back into the forest, letting the trees surround and protect us like silent guardians. Everyone is quiet, lost in their own thoughts, but there's a sense of contentment that has settled over the group. We've done something important today. We've taken our first step in the fight against Zovac, and I want to do more. I want to keep fighting until we've righted all the wrongs he's done to every single one of us. By the look on the crew's face, I can tell they're feeling the same way. Crew's faces. They don't have a single face between them. That would be really weird and creepy. Even Vex is deep in thought. I know that we wouldn't have made it this far today without his help, and I'm grateful for that. We reached the ship while it's still bright outside, the sun filtering through the trees and into the clearing. We need to send the signal, and quick. Once the others have arrived, we can get out of here. Where will we go? I don't know yet. First, we'll head for one of the Merc stations and resupply. Then we'll make a plan from there. I'll head inside and contact the others. I'll come with you. Now, who goes onto a ship to contact the others changes if you romance Kitalphan or Damon. Yeah. If you didn't romance Aya, she would be one of the ones to go on the ship and contact the others. But we did romance Aya, so here we go. Kitalphan and Damon disappear up the ramp and into the ship, while the rest of us take a few moments to catch our breath and enjoy the peace of the forest. Mind coming with me, Tony? Aya appears at my side, and immediately my heart pounds in my chest, so loud I wonder if she can hear it. I nod, and we walk away from the group and into the shade of the trees to find some privacy. Slipping behind a pair of them, we lose sight of the crew, falling into a world of our own. After escaping from the facility and making it back to the ship, I find my adrenaline is slowly draining away, exhaustion beginning to dawn on me. My hands shake when I think of earlier. I'm so relieved that Aya found me when she did. I hate to think of what would have happened if she didn't. The very thought sends a shiver racing down my spine. We were in a rush before, but let me get a good look at you. I need to be sure you're still alive and in one piece, or I'm going to lose my mind. Ayame doesn't give me time to reply and gives me a quick pat down. I see a flicker of emotion in her eyes. It's clear she's trying to convince herself that I'm here, that I'm safe. Yeah, there's a similar CG for each of the characters. Just, oh, it's so pretty. Okay, I'm done. For now. I avert my eyes from her steady gaze, feeling my skin warm. I know how I feel about Aya, and my stomach turns, thinking she might not return the same sentiment. Now, I thought before, you wish I hadn't kissed you? I interrupt her suddenly, and she looks at me for a moment, stunned. Then she lets out a breath of laughter, her face turning soft. Are you kidding me? I was just wondering when we're doing it again. She reaches out and takes my hand gently with hers, and the warmth of her touch travels all the way down to my toes, curling them in my boots. She locks her eyes on mine, a sad smile curling her lips, her voice remarkably coy when she speaks. I was so scared, Tony. I couldn't find you. I was freaking out over the mere thought that I'd lost you, that I couldn't protect you. She squeezes my hand once and steps closer, biting down on her lower lip. Of course, we're going to kiss her. Hello. I tug her by the hand and cup her cheek, leaning in for a kiss. It takes all I have not to smirk when she sighs under my touch, her body melting against mine when I push her back against the wide trunk of the tree. She wraps her arms around me, and I moan against her mouth, deepening the kiss. I can't hide how much I need her now. My hands squeeze the sides of her body, learning every curve, every inch of flesh and muscle I can reach. My head is dizzy, my mind so light it rifles my fluttering heart for a complete abandon. My mouth claims hers. I can't tell who's who anymore. It's as if I need her just as much as she needs me, with both of us pouring everything we have into this kiss, into this moment. It's intense, it's exhilarating, and when it ends too soon. When we finally break apart, I blink at her through streams of sunlight. I don't want this to be over. I want to hold on to this feeling forever, to be warm and safe, and most of all, to be with her. So, when can we do that again? I can't stop my laugh when she wiggles her eyebrows at me, arms wrapped around me still. Anytime you want it, Aya. She chuckles and the sound rumbles through me and ignites something low in my stomach that has me wanting more. Aya leans in and gives me a soft kiss on the tip of my nose, giggling when I give her a weak glare. Sounds like a big promise to me. I don't know what this means, any of it, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't like it. I'm still in her arms when Calderon struts down the ramp of the ship, yelling at us all to get inside. I don't miss the curious glance he sends our way when we emerge from the forest, or his lips curling into an approving smile. Ah, he approves. I love it. With Aya's arm around me, we head back to the ship together, and for the first time in a long time, I feel happy. The late afternoon sun fills me with its last heat, and I know that when it rises again tomorrow, I'll be facing a different kind of day. It's the thought of this that has me quietly smiling to myself, excited for the things to come. Until a gunshot rings in my ears, it sounds so loud it deafens the world around me. Sudden change of music. Silence quickly follows, my eyebrows dipping at the absence of birdsong, the trickle of water that now seems so far away. Goosebumps rise to the surface of my skin, the air of the forest seeming to close in and stifle me. I don't feel a thing. It wasn't. Low groan reaches my ears, and I look towards Vex, my eyes widen in horror. They widen in horror at the dark red stain that spreads over the front of his jacket and soaks through the crimson fabric, at the blood that covers his hands when I pull him away from the gunshot wound and stares at me, his face gone deathly white. No! Tony. End of episode. And end of content so far. If you romance Vex, then you actually can smell the blood. So that's it for today. Not quite 2 hours. So here's Aya's gallery. So there's the CG from today's chapter. There's chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. Oh, there's 2 for chapter 3. I forgot. Anyway, here's Fiona's CG. Oh, so pretty. So pretty. And Vexus. And then, of course, this is to the other stuff. So here's the music box when you first get it. And then the music box after Damon has it repaired. And then this is just a thing for the pad, I guess. Okay, right, so next week we're going to do the DLC. There's 2 so far. There's going to be another one that's going to be a little more risque. I probably won't stream that because it is risque. I don't know. I'll have to put through it off stream just to see how risque it is. So yeah, I hope everyone has a good week. Yeah, next Wednesday is the day before Thanksgiving, in America, which is where I live. I have to remind myself that not everybody has Thanksgiving at the same time, or even has a Thanksgiving at all. But in America, it's always the fourth Thursday of November. So tomorrow is the 3rd Thursday of November, so next Thursday will be Thanksgiving. So yeah, take care everyone. I'm planning to stream next week. It depends on how crazy life gets here. And yeah, so take care. I hope you have fun with whatever you do for the rest of the week. And see you next time. Bye.